So, with a slight cold, and yeah, hey, once in a very blue moon, I'll have something like that, and I'll take various nutrients, and that'll be that. But for about a couple of days or so, sometimes longer, when you have a cold, you sound a wee bit, well, not yourself. But anyway, with the dog snoring away in the background, public warned off eating home produced eggs near industrial site. And I'm thinking to myself, given the fact that the righteous apparently in whatever governmental organisation feel that the solution is to, test every bird in the UK, and if they apparently test positive for H1, whatever the hell, and, just to be safe, let's just wipe out sometimes millions of perfectly healthy birds because the test came up, non-conducive with that being an option for them to continue their life. Whereas common sense would say, oh, I don't know, how about we just incubate or just, isolate that place for a wee while. And by the way, common sense historically says, you know what? And, the funny thing is, there's so many people out there that go with Darwin, right? And I have a few thoughts on that one. But, they talk about Darwin, and ultimately it's about the strong survive, all the rest of it, ultimately. Let's be honest, right? Why wouldn't you just fucking make sure that the birds were left were nurtured? Mind you, the trouble with that one is you'd probably find that no birds die. That's the problem. And when you're determined to force people to eat the bugs, well, how do you get there? Well, there's a direction of travel, whether it be Corona or, H1N whatever. I've said over the years, you look to all that theatre in China. People having epileptic fits on the street, foaming at the mouth, all the rest of it, and none of that happened over here. Yet people queued up by the million, in many respects, forced to do so, blackmailed to do so, threatened with their jobs to do so, to take something experimental that the very manufacturers said they would only give to governments. Why they would give them to governments? Anyway, under the proviso that they had blanket immunity to any kind of prosecution. But they were happy to inject people by the billion with that. But apparently some chemical plant 1 mile from home-produced eggs has been giving off higher amounts of certain chemicals. And when you look at the story and what you're realizing is they're testing all birds. And so how much is that costing? And who's paying for that? Well, obviously, ultimately us. But they suggest that you don't have anything to do with these birds. Don't take their eggs. Don't eat anything of them. Just for a precaution. And these forever chemicals, essentially, that's what they are, aren't they? PFASs. They're in everything. Everything. Plastic. Yeah. You're in their Teflon coatings, they're in their yoga sweatpants, you're in all these biking gear, they're in your socks, they're in most of your clothes, yeah. They're your toothbrushes, there's so many things, yeah. But they didn't give a flying fuck about that, but hey. The eggs have tested positive for a higher level of that. And yet, by the day, the sources of these chemicals, the government doesn't give a flying fuck that you're exposed to. This still ties into eugenics. And this is one of these stories where you go, well, actually, maybe they're doing things for the betterment of humanity, and maybe it is generally that they are starting to care more. And no, it's none of that. None of that at all. It's fuckery. on the willfully ignorant. But just before I go, if you are interested in me doing more vids on just these chemicals and their effects, and clothing maybe, and things that I've tried to do over the years to avoid that, at least in part. Because honestly, let me add to this. When they're warning about, oh, if you eat these eggs within a kilometre of this place, yeah, just remember, every single fucking piece of food is covered in the packaging. Yeah. Every single thing that you buy, whether it's fish and chips in these little plastic coatings as they pick up the fish, yeah, or you buy anything, meat, whatever, anything packaged, they've got these. But no, you've got to focus on that. Seriously. So yeah, if you want me to do more vids on this, how about maybe a few thumbs up, a few suggestions, maybe some advice, and I'll speak to you soon.